We are approaching our final panelists. Everybody, give yourselves a round of applause. We got some staying power here at our 8th annual conference here. It's beautiful, beautiful faces out there. It's lovely to have you. And we want to welcome to the stage Matt Weinstein, President of Cabrillo Community College and MBET board member. Thank you for your service. Here to facilitate a conversation between our region's university and community college presidents. Welcome, panelists.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you, everyone, for hanging in there today. We're going to try to land this on time, all right? Because we know we're what separates you from the reception. So I'm Matt Weinstein. I'm proud to be the president of Cabrillo, and it's a pleasure for me to host this conversation because we have 3 exceptional new leaders of Hispanic-serving institutions in our community, who you'll be hearing from in a second. I'm going to ask each one of them to give some highlights of what they're doing to advance work at our colleges, and especially around the theme of equity, inclusion, and access for students. So I'm going to start, and I'll be brief, and I've asked them to be very brief too, so the 2-minute clock is on. I would say that 2 things that I would love to highlight about Cabrillo right now are we've just done a year-long effort with a Hispanic Serving Initiative Institution Task Force that allowed around 70 faculty, staff, employees to talk about how we can become a better institution to serve our students. We have 48% of our students who are Hispanic. That's growing. And as you saw earlier today with the data, so many of those students are from inland populations and segments of our district that are first generation and really need help. They need help attending college. And so the more that we can make our college attractive and a welcoming space for them, that's what that task force was all about. One of the key initiatives that came out of that is we're hiring a marketing professional who can speak Spanish and improve our presence in the Spanish language community. But we're also spending money on public art on our campus to make it more welcoming. The other thing I want to highlight, thank you, I love it. The murals on our campus are outstanding. They're going to be gorgeous. And the other thing I would highlight that was mentioned earlier is the SURF collaborative that's taking place in our mega region. I want to give a shout out to Chancellor Larive, UC Santa Cruz, for stepping up to lead that work. And I also want to call out the collaborative effort of community colleges around the region who are participating in that, but also the county offices of education, the K-12 superintendents who've been attending to ensure that we have an equitable recovery coming out of COVID. And we're going to be focused, I think, in that planning grant, hopefully to land $15 million for our region to help promote equitable recovery across our region in sectors like business, computer science and engineering, in health, and in education, so that we can have teachers and have them stay here and live here. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to, on my right, Vanya.
Hi, thank you. Thank you to the committee for giving us the best spot, the one that everybody's anxious to hear what you have to say, so, you know, so you guys can go home. I think we're a fairly young institution. We are 27 years old. So, happy birthday pretty soon. And with that, we have seen the growth of the university, and we are seeing the fulfillment of many of our values and dreams. So we are in the stage of almost like an inflection point. We're about 7,000 students, we're growing, and we really need to continue serving the community. So I want to highlight, I think, 2 of the most important things that we're doing. One of them is the partnership between us. All of us here, we are working to produce a really strong pipeline, hopefully 2-2-2 programs, which is 2 years community college, 2 years university, and 2-year masters. And so thanks to Larry, Samos, and many of our team and in teams within your institutions, we are aligning our curriculum and working very hard to do that. I know you guys know that there is a very leaky pipeline, that we have issues with K to 12 in terms of how many students are graduating. There is a crisis. I want everybody to be aware that most institutions are mostly females. So we only have 20% of males going to universities or community colleges. And, and then besides being hard to go to colleges or community colleges, they don't graduate, and then so the pipeline is very leaky, and we're trying to come with Scotch tape and with a lot of wheel and Gorilla Glue, I guess, and we're trying to fix the pipeline to ensure that we go forward together. So one is the partnerships, and the second one, which is equally important, is that we need you, all of you here. We need to see what kind of workers you need, and to guide our curriculum and graduates to be good citizens of the county. And for example, we have a couple of important programs coming up. One of them is Drones, Automation, Robotics, and Technology, DARP, which is a partnership of CSU with local communities. And so those kind of programs will allow to create the future of the region. It is important that we train students that will stay here. So our commuters and our students, if they stay here, they will stay working with you, and they will not come for 2 years and go back home. So I think that the interaction of the four of us with you is something that is pretty important. And I think I went over a couple of seconds, so all yours.
Thank you, Vanya, and thank you, Matt, for being the moderator. And I hadn't seen Matt in a long time. I reintroduced myself because I didn't recognize him. He had a tie on. My name is Michael Gutierrez. I'm the superintendent president at Hartnell, and I've been on the job a little over 90 days, and that was one of the interview questions that I got when I was going through the process of what are you going to accomplish in the first 90 days, and I didn't realize that during that time period we would be going through a ransomware attack, but that example is really symbolic of the partnerships that you see in this region. One of the first people that called me was Vanya, and CSU has provided support to Hartnell College. The gentleman here, they also have reached out, and we've had MCOE, MPC, even Delta College in Stockton that have provided services to our IT department and to our students as well. So it's a really great example. And as I got the job at Hartnell, I received many calls throughout the state. I had been at Sacramento City College at that time, and they said, you're very lucky to be going to Hartnell College. And as I came to this region, I've realized that it is indeed a magical place. And people have been incredibly welcoming to me. And as all of you have made me feel welcomed, as people have asked me, what's your vision at Hartnell College? It's exactly that we create this welcoming environment for our students where they feel connected to us, connected to our college, connected to each other, because that's what's going to keep them at the college. That's what's going to keep them to reach their goal, whether it's employment or transferring to a university. There are many things that we're doing at our institution, and one is in ag tech. And many of our students, when they get asked about their feelings and what their thoughts are about ag tech, I think their impression is something that they've seen on TV or driving to the campus every day, and what they see, and what they don't realize that it is incredibly high tech, and there's a lot of industry that connects to it, like human resources, accounting, things of that nature. And one of the programs that we have that really is a symbol of that is our mechatronics program. And you ask people at Hartnell, what's the mechatronics program? And I'm not sure they can really answer it for you, because it seems like something from another world. But it's really the combination of robotics and electronics engineering technician, where when you see, one of the things that we're known for in the Salinas Valley, right, is bagged salads, right? It was invented in this region, and the robotics that it takes to put each pea, each carrot, each piece of lettuce It's incredibly high tech, and that's what we train our students to do. The Salinas Valley is also in the forefront of processing, packaging, and the production of fresh produce. And through our food safety program, you see individuals that have gotten their master's degree, that are in our certificate program, people that have been working in the ag industry for more than 5 years, or people that are fresh out of high school, all together in this program, preparing them to work in the food safety industry, which is incredibly important to our region. And so those are one or a couple of many things that we do, including a CS in 3, our computer science program with CSU MB, where our students can get not just their associate degree, but their bachelor's degree in 3 years. And we've had more than 200 people already go through that program. And it's important because as the theme that we've heard today from this morning to this afternoon is we have a housing shortage. We have traffic issues. So why not educate and train the people that are already here living in our homes to take our jobs? And that's what we're doing at Hartnell College.
I thought we said we were going to keep it short. Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. My name is Pedro Avila. I'm the new superintendent president at Gavilan College in Gilroy. We serve the communities of Santa Clara County and San Benito County. I grew up in Castroville, so I'm just from just down the way here. Came here at the age of 9 from Mexico. I'm a second language learner, first generation student, and I'm just really glad to be back in my community. What are we doing in Gavilan? You know, Michael started to think a few weeks before I started, so I'm on my, I think I'm on my second month. We've been very proactive about creating access and bringing our students back. Our Latino community was highly impacted by COVID. We know that we're essential workers. Many of them were working. So we wanted to bring them back, and we wanted to be very intentional about that. We just forgave $500,000 in student debt using our HERF funding to send a strong message that we wanted our students back. We're also working on, next year we're going to be breaking ground on a new campus in Hollister, taking our educational facilities to the community of Hollister. And our marketing, I think Matt talked about marketing. Marketing is really important, so we've been doing a lot of Spanish marketing that's really resonating with our communities. And I'm glad to say that today we're up 8% in enrollment, which has been, it's just a reflection of the good work that's happening on our campus. And us being able to resonate with our community and being able to connect with our students. Tomorrow, on our campus, we're going to be hosting our first Spanish-only community event. We're going to have over 200 folks from our community attend to talk about the importance of education. So that's my first couple months. It's been exciting. As a president who grew up in these communities, I'll tell you, it hits differently when you walk on that campus, and I see myself in those students. And I know how important and critical the decisions I make are going to impact their future and their families to be able to improve the quality of their lives. So I'm glad to be here, and it's an honor to be part of this panel. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a little bit of time. I'm going to ask each of you to talk a little bit about what it means to be a Hispanic leader of a Hispanic serving institution, and maybe thinking about how your personal identity and your what you bring to the job as a president of these institutions. How do you convey those values to the students and to the staff? And I will reflect that as a white privileged man, I feel like my work on something like a Hispanic Serving Institution Task Force, there's some things that I can do that maybe are different as an ally than perhaps the leadership role you might bring to that work. So I wonder if you would just talk a little bit about, maybe a minute, Michael, this time, all right? Maybe talk a little bit about how you bring your identity to your work.
Michael first? Sure. Go ahead, Michael. We're going to count, Michael. Go.
So Hartnell College is the 5th Hispanic serving institution that I've worked at. And I can tell you that I don't wake up in the morning thinking, you know, I'm the Latino president at Hartnell. I'm just, you know, Michael. So I get up and I go to work, and I happen to lead Hartnell College. And it's one thing to talk about equity and diversification, and it's another to actually do it. And the proof is in the pudding. The proof is going to be on what do your employees look like? Do they look like our community? And 2, are our students succeeding at the same rates regardless of their background? And so when I think of leading a Hispanic serving institution, those are the things that I focus on.
Yeah, so I think just recently I had an experience where, you know, I realized how important it is that we bring in our lived experiences into the work that we do. I was having a meeting with a group of architects that were designing the wayfinding on our campus. So the wayfinding is, you know, signage, maps. And as I was having a conversation with them, I realized that they were designing it based on their experiences. Very basic, here's a map, you know, here's a sign with an arrow. And that's not the way our students are if you're first gen, and if you've never set foot on campus, you don't understand how difficult it is to go find admissions and records and EOPS and these other services that were very critical. So we had this conversation, really deep conversation about we need to throw out your lived experiences, your college lived experiences as a designer, and think about the students that you're designing for. So all of a sudden, our design completely changed about being more direct about the signage that we needed on our campus. So I'll share that example because I think that's what we bring, right? We all talk about equity. I think there was a lady up here, Francis, I think that was Francine, that was talking about making sure that if you're talking about equity, you have the right people in the room. You know, I think I'm at a point now where, you know, we all read the books, we all did the workshops, but the lived experiences are completely irreplaceable. So that's what we bring, I think. That's the value that we bring, being able to design colleges, provide services that we know are going to have the highest impact on our students, especially our Latinx students.
So I have to say that I'm proud of this community. We're sitting here. We are the fiber of the education in this community, and we have 3 Latino leaders. And you should be proud. We are proud. And this is something maybe unique in the area, that you have the major institutions just being led by people that look like your students, that they look like our neighbors, that they look like, you know, the community or the majority of the community. So it's really an important moment for the education of this county and this region to have all of us collaborating, and that's our aim. The 4 of us are here as partners, so that's really unique. I think that the most important thing that we bring is hope. When a student, you know, my staff knows that I disappear and I go and talk to students every 2 seconds, you know, just wandering around. And I can see their hope that we look like them, that we understand their struggles, and that, you know, there's something called imposter syndrome, and I'm going to say it out there. And that's something that me as a Hispanic leader, I do have imposter syndrome. And sometimes I feel like, why I'm having this job. So that this being representative of our community on education helps to ease the imposter syndrome of many of our students. It also shows that the institution has a commitment for diversity, inclusion. And it's not that having other leaders, you don't have that. But it's just, I think that it really gives them strength to fix the signs, fix the message, fix how we talk, fix the overall feeling of the university. So I think we bring the agenda forward. That's the most important thing. Look into the structures that we have, ensure that we have a zero-tolerance environment. And that's not only for us as an educating environment, academia, it's also for all of us here. Develop a zero-tolerance, have a mixed population of employees that represent the community, and ensure that every day we wake up and we're just us, as you say, Michael, but we're just here as a strong symbol that we can do it. And I tell my students, si se puede, yes, we can do it. And so all together on this region, working together, we can do it and increase diversity and ensure that we're all working to make the region better. It was like a minute and a half, sorry.
So I think one of the things that you're hearing from these three leaders, these wonderful people next to me, that none of them are imposters. They are terrific people. I've gotten to know a couple of them just recently, but Michael and I go back a few years. And Michael, I'm glad you didn't come in your San Antonio Spurs outfits today, by the way. All right, this is the lightning round. We're going to wrap it up. I'm going to ask you to do what others have done. Is there one thing that our audience can take away to be advocates for our students or for our institutions of higher ed? And maybe start with Pedro.
Yeah, so for me, we talk about community colleges being the most affordable system, and we are. California community colleges are the most affordable system in the nation. Yet, we get a fraction of what the CSUs and the UCs get per student. Right? Nobody talks about that. We talk about equity a lot. The biggest inequity is the equity in funding. And I'm really happy for the other systems. They should get that money. But community colleges serve over 1 million students in California. Majority of color, majority lower income, majority first gen. And yet, we have the least amount of funding. So think about that. So when we compare our completion rates, our success rates with the other systems, it's really apples to oranges. But that happens constantly, right? People get in the room and they say, well, look at their rates and look at their rates. We don't have an admissions index. We have 100% admission of any student that comes through our door. So it is apples and oranges. But I think the biggest inequity is the equity in funding. So I just want to put that out there. Our students are majority part-time, not because they want to be part-time, it's because they have competing priorities. They have to work. And so when you're part-time, your chances of completion are lower. So there is an issue here when we talk about equity, about funding and resources and support. So, I'm an advocate for that. So I'm going to keep bringing that up because I think that's where it's at for us. We work really hard to do a lot with very little resources. Sometimes it feels like we're doing magic, to be honest with you. And I love my job because it's challenging and because we are serving those students in most need, but we need more resources.
So I think my message is that the need is big, but the task is not impossible. It means that it's our responsibility as academics, environment, but you as the whole members of the community to work together to ensure that we have a successful community and an economic development by addressing the students' needs and the graduation of our students. So the investment on education is the investment on the future economy of this region. And by investing local, by investing to students that come from here, you're going to have workers that will stay here, as I said before. So I do believe that there is an inequality on funding. There is a federal inequality on funding. The SPCUs get 5 times more than Hispanic serving institutions, but we actually have 5 or 6 times more students than the traditional Black universities. The FCUs, they have a 0% capital improvement. We don't have that. We have to compete with the funds. So the inequity on funds come all the way from the federal government. The UCs, I love Cynthia, but the UC gets a lot of funding. We get a little bit and they get less. So I think that, however, we're serving the population of the students that do the fiber of the jobs that are education, nursing, accountants, agriculture. So this inequality of funding is affecting the diversity of the workforce. So I hope that we all together ensure that we are advocates to ensure that we have equity on funding and we have equity on support. They want more nurses, give us buildings, because it's pretty expensive to have nurses. We will produce more nurses. You want more accountants, give us the resources, we will do it. The reason that we have a shortage of employees in this country is because the universities don't have the funds to invest to expand certain areas. So I really think that put the money where the mouth is and have equity, have funds on the things that we need, and support the education system. And together we can do that, all the voices together. Thank you.
So I only have one ask, and it's not money today. Jackie Cruz and the Hartnell College Foundation will be contacting you soon. It's really to partner to help us provide experiential learning opportunities for our students in the form of apprenticeships, internships, earn and learn opportunities, or service learning. Because students that have that opportunity for experiential learning during the time they're with us are 7 times more likely to have a job when they graduate than when they don't. So partner with us, help us provide that, not just for our career and technology education students. That's actually a little easier to do. But let's do it with our students that are in general education transfer programs. Thank you.
Thank you. I think my one piece of advocacy would be on behalf of our students in the form of financial aid. As was mentioned, many of our students have to work part-time in order to just pay rent and make ends meet. And our Cal Grant system in this state is morally bankrupt, in my opinion. It is immoral and unethical to provide full Cal Grants to four-year university students to help pay for the cost of attendance, books, gas, rent, and not do the same for community college students. It's an embarrassment. So if you can advocate on that point, that would be great. I will continue to do it. But I'm going to leave on a high note. This year was the single best investment in community colleges in the history of the state, I would argue, certainly in the 25 years that I've been involved in the system. And we have a lot of people to thank. The surplus obviously helps, but that doesn't just happen without good political leadership and the will within Sacramento to do that. And we are very fortunate to have political leaders in this region in Sacramento who advocate for our institutions of higher education. So I'm very grateful for the role that John Laird, Robert Rivas, Ana Caballero have played in helping to deliver funding to our institutions. And I also want to say that it is people in this room and the collaborative relationships that I think it might have been Susan True who mentioned it. We all depend upon each other, and the way that we work together in this region is special. This partnership, MBEP, is special, and so I'm very proud to be a part of it and very proud to be a part of this community. Thank you all for being here.